Amidst the deadly clashes with neighbouring Afghanistan and the political and economic turmoil at home, the Pakistani Field Marshal General Asim Munir has once again resorted to a diversionary tactic and has started issuing threats against India. Now, he was speaking at the Pakistan Military Academy, and General Munir said that any future hostilities with India could lead to military and economic retaliation far beyond India's imagination. Further, without naming Operation Sindoor, General Munir falsely claimed that Pakistan had achieved victory during the conflict in the month of May and has warned that there is no space for war in a nuclearized environment. Now, Asim Munir's threats to India have come at a time when Pakistan seems to be imploding from within. Over the last week, it has been engaged in a deadly clash with neighbour Afghanistan before agreeing to a fragile 48-hour truce. And hours before the truce expiry, Pakistan also conducted airstrikes in Afghanistan's Paktika province. Now, General Asim Munir's nuclear blackmail also comes a day after Pakistani Defence Minister Khwaja Asif falsely claimed that Kabul and the TTP were a proxy of India and conspiring against Pakistan. Now, besides a tense border with Afghanistan, Islamabad is also staring at the prospect of an internal collapse. The jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan and the PTI have openly been calling out the military's role in domestic politics, and thousands of PTI supporters have held massive protests for calling for Imran Khan's release. Now, Pakistan's provinces are also on the edge. The Baloch militants have stepped up their attacks on the Pakistani military in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and there's also the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, a hardline Islamist radical group, which is once again stirring trouble in the Punjab province. The provincial government wants to ban the TLP, but that move risks further unrest. The group still commands thousands of loyal followers who are willing to fight under its banner. Now, earlier this month, the violent clashes had erupted in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir after thousands hit the streets in protest. Internet services were suspended, curfew was imposed, and hundreds of activists were detained under the draconian security laws. Now, Pakistan's economy is also in tatters. A looming debt crisis, a widening trade deficit, and severe damage from monsoon floods are all straining an already fragile economy. And experts are saying that the economic turmoil has pushed the citizens' purchasing power to an all-time low.
Agriculture, services, industry, construction, the entire economy in Pakistan has been decimated. Ordinary citizens' purchasing power has shrunk to an all-time low.
Now, with an economy in ruins and insurgencies and protests across the provinces, political instability, of course, looms large, and Pakistan's future looks pretty bleak at the moment. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we've got Ambassador D.P. Srivastava, who's a distinguished fellow at the VIF and former Indian ambassador to the Islamic Republic of Iran. He's joining us live from New Delhi. Ambassador Srivastava, thank you very much indeed for taking time out and speaking to us here on WION. Now, I want you to weigh in on this statement, that was issued by the Pakistani Field Marshal General Asim Munir, where he's effectively issuing a nuclear threat to India. What do you make of this? Why is he making this kind of inflammatory rhetoric?
It's directly linked to the trouble that he faces at home. And with Afghanistan, there have been clashes in which yesterday only the Pakistani Interior Minister said that Pakistani forces have bombed groups in North and South Waziristan, which is part of Pakistan, and killed, as they claim, at least 60 to 70 Khawarijins. Khawarijins are, to use a term popularized by General Asim Munir, those who oppose Pakistan, he claims they have gone out of the fold of Islam, and hence he has coined that term. So Munir acts both as a soldier and a priest. He has had also problems at home, and this is linked to Pakistan's opportunistic policies in the Middle East. There were some early indications given by Pakistani leaders that they might take part in the stabilization force in Gaza. And that has triggered the unrest and protests by TLP, that is Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, and Jamaat-e-Islami chief made a strong statement against Pakistan Army and Pakistan government. The third, of course, is what you mentioned earlier, and this is the problem with Imran Khan, who got most votes in the last elections and has ended up in jail since then. But let me also touch on three aspects of his statement on holding out nuclear threat to India. When he says there is no scope for a war in nuclearized environment, the subtext is, which he has omitted to mention, is that there's scope for terror activities.
Right.
And this is the crux of the problem. The second implication, he said that even a minor provocation action could lead to disproportionate action. Now, this goes against any known theory of deterrence. Deterrence is a careful, assessment of risks and interests. And here the army chief himself is saying that there will be disproportionate response. The third element that he has mentioned, that there will be consequences beyond the region.
Right.
So he's the threat is held out not only against India, but unnamed adversaries beyond the region. Or the other way to look at it is that he's trying to invite, mediation or intervention by outside powers on the ground that there will be the consequences will not be limited only to South
Right.
Asia.
So
you have a army chief which is fast losing control, not only of the situation within the country, but also, I think, his balance.
I think you've touched upon several important points there, but I also want you to weigh in on what Khwaja Asif, one of the cabinet ministers there, said, where he is effectively calling the Taliban to be a proxy of India, when it is a well-known established fact that the Taliban in many ways was mentored by the Pakistani ISI. The fact that things have gone so sour with Afghanistan, that the two nations appear to be on the brink of war at each other. Why is the Pakistani minister trying to blame India for Pakistan's problems?
That is a typical Pakistani trait, to blame India for anything which goes wrong. And their Afghan policy has gone disastrously wrong for them. Taliban were created by Pakistan. General Babar, he was interior minister in Benazir government, who created Taliban. He used to call them, "Ye to hamare bacche hain." And, Pakistan gave support to Taliban for 20 years while being part of the American-led coalition against terror, undermining the American presence and efforts. And now that, the situation has gone wrong, so they are blaming India. And if you look at it, actually the Taliban are more logically consistent than Pakistan. The Taliban are saying that if you promoted Islamic Emirate in Afghanistan, why not Islamic Emirate in Pakistan? And that is the crux of the problem. That is, they are divided by the same ideology. This difference goes beyond, the differences over Durand line. This is something much deeper.
Interesting. I think we'll have to wait and see as to how that unfolds. Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador Srivastava, for joining with that perspective there.
Thank you.